Okay, we have a Iyslander or Islander versus Dromai match today. Actually, my audio did not work while playing this game because my settings reverted. Not that you care, but so I was recording some commentary after the fact because this was a very good game and I wanted to, watch it back anyway and look at my plays and misplays and, I guess how to handle this matchup, because it used to be heavily Dromai favored, but as Iyslander has evolved and players have gotten better at playing both the matchup and her, it's become a lot more close. And this match is my first encounter with I'm not sure if it's exactly the same list, but what looks like the Michael Hamilton Wounded Bull list. So this is my turn 0 here, and I drew Sweeping Blow, Thamai, and Energy Pot, and I was trying to play out, make an Ash here, play Thamai, and play Energy Pot, which would have been awesome. But my opponent did Blizzard me, so I no longer have the resources to do that. Which brings up a little bit of a decision point. I can't play the Energy Pot and Thamai, or I can't play the Energy Pot and Arsenal Thamai here because of the Frostbite that also comes with Blizzard. So after deliberating for a bit, I decided that playing out Thamai is, my best option still. I'm aware that this deck that I'm playing against plays a lot more physical attacks and E-strikes and things like that, so it is much easier for them to get rid of their Thamai. However, it still saves me some life, buys me some tempo, they're attacking it instead of me, and I guess I just decided that this was worth it anyway. But lo and behold, they have the E-strike to perfectly kill it with Go Again, which, I was banking on it being a little bit more difficult for him. But that's okay. I have a couple more in my deck to buy me tempo later, hopefully. So typically in this matchup, Ash generation has never been a problem because you get pinged with a lot of arcane and discard effects. So you can choose to block some arcane, or you can choose to pay instead of discard and kind of just make however much Ash you really need. This deck operates a little differently that I'm playing against, and I guess you have less windows to make as much Ash on demand as you want. So I'm unsure how to handle this barrage of large physical attacks. I did use some of my armor because, as far as I know, they might run CNCs or something like that, but odds are there are not a ton of on hits. So it looks like I actually walked it back and did not use my armor. There are not a ton of on hits, so I do want to make use of my armor when I have the opportunity. But also save it in case there are some nasty on hits. So, I think it's a bit of a balancing act there. So I played out Necria because that dragon's awesome. It just kind of solves your Ash production problem for quite a long time. Unfortunately, it looks like they had 2 poppers in hand, one to pop and one to play. So a bit unfortunate, even with this deck, there's only so many poppers, right? Like they might have 12 or so. So you can definitely catch them in with plenty of hands with no poppers, but looks like they had 2 for a pretty good play. So being a creature of habit, I was kind of using my life to try to set up a board state here, and I'm kind of in a tough place because I don't have any Ash yet due to all their physical attacks. So I'm kind of generating ash the hard way, like making this burn them all that's going to quickly go away, pitching my sand cover to furnace in order to make the ash and then instantly spend it, which is pretty tough. Now, I do have one floating to pay for a frostbite and attack or block an arcane, but you know, I'm not in a very strong position here. But trying to just chip a bit of damage and get a dragon out is, you know, what I was looking for. I think maybe in hindsight, I can just block out the physical damage and, you know, wait for them, because the longer you give Iyslander, the more dangerous it is for you. They can set up frost hexes and insidious chills and, you know, build up this big combo where you just don't get to play the game. So I'm really trying to avoid that here, and I'm trying to beat them to the board state and, you know, I guess use my life to get a board state out before they do. But I think that I could maintain a bit higher life total. Blocking physical attacks is very easy. And on turns where they do things like, you know, play out a frost hex, for example, I can use that window of opportunity to then play out my board state where they're having a bit of an off turn and not hammering at me for, you know, 7 or 5, then 7 or whatever it ends up being. So this matchup's definitely a bit different, and I do have quite a bit to learn about how it plays out. Well, the dreaded red Aether Ice Vein here. But fortunately, I did draw a Oasis Respite. So I can pitch my blue to block one and play it. What I'm thinking about here is I don't have any ash, so I can actually pitch a red to play it and pitch a red or a blue to, you know, just make some ash here. And I do go with the ash generation, which I think is the right call. But I unfortunately can't keep 2 cards because I still need to block 1 arcane or have to pay or discard. So I'm going with more ash generation. I'm finding it, you know, a bit more difficult in this particular match to generate and maintain ash. So I'm just, you know, trying to get a bit ahead that way. Like that's the first step of most matchups is ash generation and maintaining your life. So this way I can still attack for 3 in 1 and then hold this blue in order to, you know, block some arcane, pay through any, or, you know, yeah, basically just block some arcane since I'm only attacking once, which is, you know, just fine. I think this is a good play. Unfortunately, I'll bet he or she targeted my my Dromai. Yep, killed it mid-flight. It's unfortunate, but did buy me some life. Okay, we're sitting on another all red hand, but do have some ability here to block. If they came at me with a larger spell. This is a bit awkward just because it's 2 and 2. So using, in hindsight, I think I should probably play Oasis Respite. And then I gain a life, block 2, make an ash is like pretty good. But the reality is what I'm trying to do here is if I do that, then I can play Asvali Arsenal Sandcover, but odds are on my turn, I am going to just take some damage and not be able to attack with Asvali. Just because of, you know, the impending taxes. There you go, like those taxes. So I chose to hold my cards to try to pay through things. Channel is too much of a tax, and you know, it's pretty rough. So what I do here is Furnace. I don't get to save my sand cover. I Furnace to just be able to play out Asvali. I now like don't even have the resources to pay for it, which is unfortunate. But once again, I'm like still kind of stuck in my habits of trying to get my board state out and you know, win this matchup that way. All right, another Findal's here. Pretty relentless. I wish I could pop that. But yeah, see now I'm learning to adapt a little bit, right? I'm going to use my armor while the opportunity presents itself and, you know, maintain a bit of life. I saved 2 blues here to, you know, pay through whatever. And unfortunately, Channel's still out, so everything is still really expensive. But with these blues, I'm able to at least do something, block some arcane, you know. I think I would also really like to play out this passing, but we'll see how it goes. Or I guess I already can't technically because Polar Blast is giving me a Frostbite and Channel's out, so now I need 2. So what I'm going to do here is, or what I'm looking at doing is now I can block 1 or 2 arcane, attack with 1 dragon, or if I block 1 arcane, I could attack with 2. And, you know, they may have a popper. Yeah, that's okay. It buys another card out of their hand, buys me, you know, the life it saves me from them not being able to play that card. So even though this deck is much more heavy on poppers, I'm still not that upset when something gets popped, right? Like still strips a card, still buys me some tempo. It's just like many other matchups. Yep, there we go. So I chose to take the 2 of the Waning Moon in order to attack with both dragons. I am prioritizing saving Miragai here and attacking with no Phantasm just because of the sheer amount of poppers. It then becomes something that if they want to capitalize on their poppers, they have to deal with it. And, you know, playing an E-Strike into it or something will just save me 5 life or, you know, blocks or whatever. So attacking with Miragai. The nice thing also about Asvali is that, you know, if you attack with it, even if it gets popped, it does the 1 arcane. So it's not, you know, it's not totally a lost cause there. Very cool dragon. I really, really slept on Asvali. You know, when I first saw Dromai, and now besides Optimi, it's my favorite dragon, I think. It's just so good. It's very versatile in a lot of different matchups. This is pretty cool. This is pretty interesting. This player has chosen to attack me with Wounded Bull instead of pop Asvali, which is probably the right choice, right? Like if, you know, if she had just popped it, then she would have had an Arsenal card and a Heart of Findal in hand. So even though Asvali stays out, I think this is the right call. I blocked with Dominia there. Playing out your big dragons in this matchup is like really tough, and it's kind of a trap, right? Like if you burn a lot of resources paying for them, and then odds are you're not going to have the resources to be able to effectively attack with them also. So, you know, drawing Dominia and a handful of reds, I could have arsenaled Dominia, and then you can use the crown to cycle her away, but crown isn't online in every turn in this matchup, so she could get really stuck in there. So it's not part of my win condition. I just used it to save me some life here. And unfortunately, we have another channel come out. Back-to-back channels is pretty rough on this deck. I do run 16 blues in this matchup against Wizards and Viscerai, specifically for this reason. But it's like, you know, you only have so much sideboard space. I don't really think you have room for like 20 blues. And inevitably you get a lot of all red hands running 16 blues, right? That averages out to like 1 blue a hand. But a lot of times you're going to have 2 blues a hand and then 2 hands of all reds. That's just how it works out. And just makes it really, really tough on you. So they definitely shut down my last turn. And I'm sitting on an all red hand again here, which sucks because having an all red hand, I'm kind of not able to play, nor am I able to block Arcane. So I kind of get stuck in this place where it's like, you know, I'm unable to do either one essentially, right? And, you know, I think now that I'm watching this match back, I think that I should really, you know, have preserved my life total more and chosen better windows over just like my board state. And, you know, trying to like aggro them down essentially, because it's like not really working right there. I mean, my board, don't get me wrong, my board state is very important, but I think I could have developed it a bit more slowly and had a bit higher of a life total, because I'm like clearly unable to overwhelm her. And, you know, like this turn, last turn I took damage, had to discard. Then that turn, I with channel out, I can only afford to play a sigil and just try to stay alive. I'm still sitting on Thamai and Arsenal. I drew 1 blue this turn, which is great, right? But between this turn, them attacking me, and next turn, them attacking and taxing me, like 1 blue is not great. So I'm probably going to be faced with a decision again of whether I, you know, mitigate some damage this turn, you know, or be able to play at all next turn. But fortunately, I did see them pitch a red scar. So this Ice Eternal only comes in for 2 and 2 frostbites. The downside is they pitch 2 ice cards, so their channel is going to stay out for a whole nother turn, which is pretty rough. I'm still not blocking 2 here. I'm still prioritizing playing out Thamai. Just because, I mean, at this point, this is not like a game-winning play, but it is going to buy me some tempo, right? Like they have to deal with Thamai, and then will hopefully buy me the breathing room, you know, to give me a little bit of wiggle room to, you know, be able to attack with my board state if they have to focus on that also. So I'm unsure, I didn't do the math right now, but another option there is I couldn't have pitched into Furnace, right? Because I hadn't played a red card. So that's kind of the best I got. But I miscalculated my pitch here, so I'm trying to, there we go. Trying to leave myself 1 floating to, you know, to pay to attack if they have a bad arsenal, but most likely just to block one arcane, which I could do with a red card in hand, but just like pitching this way and leaving one floating leaves, makes it a bit more versatile, right? Now I'm trying to work out if there's a way for me to pitch in order to like play Asvali Anthemi or to have like some number floating, but as I suspected, it just like doesn't really work no matter how hard I try, right? So what I end up landing on here is choosing Asvali and being able to attack once or twice instead of Thamai and being able to do nothing. I don't know if that's the right call, but they did pass on attacking me, so I don't have to block arcane. So we're just going to, I don't know if you call this pressure, but chip down their life a little bit. Maybe they finally got a bit of an awkward hand, and I'm able to, take advantage a bit. It was definitely the veritable onslaught of like, one or two poppers per hand and a blue and a channel. So they're able to like pop something, attack me for 7, arsenal channel, play out channel, attack me for 7 or pop something. So that definitely was, quite a lot to weather there, but looks like I got like a tiny bit of room in that little bit of an off turn they had. I don't know what they have in arsenal. It could be something like a hypothermia that they're like unable to truly capitalize on with channel out, right? Like I can't I can only attack twice no matter what. And if they play hypothermia, too early I could attack with Dromai. It's just it's not a very productive use of hypothermia if that's what they have. I doubt they have a defense reaction, but it's probably, or it could be their third channel. I'm not sure if they still have a channel, but I think they pitched their third one away. But fortunately for me, being a suboptimal arsenal, this gives me like a little bit of breathing room. Coupled with those sand covers and Oasis Respites are coming in really handy for blocking the red Aether Ice Veins. Not really ideal here because I have to pitch through channel to play it, but still allows me to block 5 and not have to discard. Most times you and channel goes away. Hooray. Most times red Aether Ice Vein is just like take 5 and lose a card. Because if you block 3, then you lose 2 cards, and it's just like this really lose-lose situation. So with blue and red in hand, I don't much care about the red sweeping blow, or I would rather use it for resources. And I'm definitely prioritizing Thamai. Again, I'm learning that with this build, it's like less valuable because it's much easier to kill, but like I said, buys me some tempo. Now they have to play now, or they're unable to play, and then they have to get rid of it. And depending on their hand, they could have an E-Strike or a Wounded Bull or an Aether Ice Vein or something that can target it. But Iyslander also has a number of like non-damage attacks and taxing cards. Looks like they undid that. So I could catch them out. Oh yeah, and so they did have an hypothermia in arsenal, which they were happy to just save in order to you know, in order to just attack me on their turn, pressure on their turn, and then use it to buy some tempo again if they're having a bit of an off turn or when I get a bit more momentum. I'm not sure why I think I'm saving the sweeping blow in Arsenal instead of blocking one arcane, which, you know, maybe is a good call. Fortunately, I have one floating. I can Dromai here, get an action point, and then attack again. So despite hypothermia, I'm able to attack twice. Again, not applying that much pressure, but it is, you know, it's starting to add up. You know, we're now at 18-8 instead of like 34-11 or, you know, whatever it was. I don't know. So this is actually pretty great. Oh. Sucks my Thamais have lined up with their E-strikes every time. That's pretty rough. Because even if they can play like a Wounded Bull or something to kill it, at least they're unable to do anything else. Which is the case on this turn. They're, you know, at least they're unable to hit me again. But, like, even if that could stay around for one more turn, that would just be fantastic. But now I'm playing out my third Thamai, realizing this is not the win condition, but is a really good tempo buyer or whatever. I guess I'm selling them some tempo. And in response, they're playing Ice Bolt, so they're unable to, you know, unable to capitalize on it after Thamai resolves. But the thing is here, they're not able to target Thamai, right? Interestingly, they're not able to target Thamai here with the Ice Bolt, because with nodes and Ice Bolt, they could kill Thamai, but, you know, the reality being they can't play it after it resolves, so they're kind of in a tough spot there. So instead, just playing it out, dealing damage to me, I'm choosing here to block some of the arcane by pitching Necria, making an Ash. Just because Necria is the MVP, right? But it's a bit expensive to play out in this situation, right? Because I have a Frostbite, so can't play it with a 2-card hand. Have to just like play what I'm able to. Unfortunately, the expensive dragons are, you know, much more offline in this matchup. They're probably not worth siding out, and I don't, you know, have the sideboard space anyway. But now, short of a blizzard or something, I, you know, have seen all they got, right? So I'm able to just pay through the Frostbite, attack, and now hopefully attack again with Asfly here. Still not going to risk Thamai in case they're trying to bait me out. But see, my plan is working. You know, playing those Thamais and them having hypothermia in Arsenal. You know, I've just had a bit of breathing room to chip down their life. And, you know, I talked about how I was stuck in my ways and establishing a board state is maybe not the greatest plan, but, you know, it has worked to some degree. Like, I am able to capitalize on my windows now. So maybe it was the right call. I don't know. The thing is, yep, and they had to save their popper. They couldn't use it to pop Asfly in order to deal with Thamai. So that was a pretty good tempo swing for me there. This whole time though, like the past, 6 turns or so, I'm still vulnerable to Storm Striders. So even though I've, done a bit better here, they've been unable to apparently, pay for Storm Striders to kill me, or like pay for their card out of Arsenal and Storm Striders to like really kill me. And maybe that's a weakness of this deck, having the ability to, oh, here comes a scolding. Having the ability to play out all these big non-arcane attacks and like arsenaling ice cards, your efficiency has to go down, right? So drawing a Killer Storm Strider's turn or being able to fuse your arcane attacks just may not be online every single turn. All right, and it looks like they're hitting me with Scolding for 5, which is not great. Pretty scary, because then they're also going to be able to moon me here for 3. So my thinking here is that I think this is the first rake I've seen all game, which is definitely part of my win condition, right? Like playing out these Ash Wings gives me more Arcane Barrier, which is why I only start the game with 2. And I really kind of rely on some sort of Ashwing generation in order to get more Arcane Barrier. But unfortunately, I don't run red Billowings, which is maybe a consideration. And the blue Billowings are like less playable in this matchup because I need those blues to pay through taxes. So, I'm seeing that my 1 Uvia and then my 3 Rakes are kind of my only ways to make Ashwings, and they came really late in this game, and it's kind of hampered my ability to, to block those crucial breakpoints. Even like blue Aetherized Fane for 3, I'm like unable to block the hit effect, so it gets more awkward. So in this play right here, I'm like really stuck in a tough spot because they can moon me, get me to 1. And if they have a spell, they can Storm Striders me, right? But that reality doesn't change whether or not I keep the red Dromai in hand. Like a moon and a spell kills me anyway. So what I was doing is playing out Dromai in an effort to play around a Pauper. And unfortunately, that didn't really work because they had a Blizzard, not a Pauper. But, I figured I'm dead either way if they, if they were able to pull off their end combo. Fortunately, they weren't. So, I just went for like, my best chance at, I guess, winning the game here, right? Because then I could attack for 11 if they don't have a Blizzard or a Pauper, and they can still keep an art card to Arsenal blocking with armor, but that would put me in a really good position. And now I have my AB out and can can hopefully stay alive a bit longer. I mean, now fortunately just a waning moon doesn't kill me. Or like, waning moon on this turn and then the next turn. So that's I think that was the right call there. Fortunately, I'm still alive. This is pretty interesting. So they had a Scar and an E-Strike in hand. Yep, those physical attacks. And I still have armor available, and it's so much easier for me to block those 2 cards. So instead of arsenaling one, they just chose to pitch to moon, which I think is the right call there. But, you know, I mean, because their other option, right, is to just like Arsenal Scar and hold E-Strike, or the other way around. Like neither's a popper either. It like doesn't really help them. So just getting them out of their hand is probably the best call, because their win condition now is Storm Striders. But I have drawn into my my second sigil here, which is great insurance. 1 blue and a sigil. It's just fantastic. And oh, we're getting popped here. I did choose to play Burn Them All instead of keep the AB, because I do, since they have no arsenal, they're unable to tax me unless they have a blizzard. But with a blue and a sigil, I'm like pretty able to survive a blue, a sigil, and like no frost hexes or like other things that deal extra damage. I'm pretty able to survive some sort of Storm Strider's attack. So I'm choosing to play this Burn Them All out to then pressure them better. Attacking with Dromai first, of course, if they have the popper, which they did. Oh, double popper. Yeah, it really got me there. Unfortunate. Dang, that's unfortunate. So 2 poppers, and now with Storm Striders up, I'm, you know, with a 2 card hand, they're much less likely to be able to kill me, and I still have a sigil. So I'm pitching to use my stilettos here. Which kills an AB. I'm down to AB3, but the odds of them having 3 poppers is just like so low that I would much rather pressure their life here and get them pretty low. Like I said, Sigil's still online. If they had a blizzard, they would have played it. So, you know, I think pitching that blue is like the correct call. If they have another Scar in hand, we're seeing in this deck their power level is so much higher, but the consistency of their hands is quite a lot lower. Or, you know, when the time comes for it, they just don't have a huge like Strider's turn every turn or whatever. You know, which is probably very well worth it. I'm just saying it's kind of you know, a bit of a trade-off, I guess. So now it's the end of my turn here. So I could pitch to play Mirror Guy, strip their last card. But then Storm Striders are still online for when they draw up, and I have no cards in hand. Or not when I have no cards in hand, but it's still online for when I play out my next turn, and I would be at 1 and AB3, right? Which is not a great place to be. So instead of going after that last card, I'm going to get to a much healthier life total here and Arsenal Mirror Guy, right? Like that's the call. So now at 4 and AB3, they like really have to have it, right? Like they have to have a blue ice bolt and the moon and just like a red something in hand and, like a freezing point or whatever, and me not have any blues. So they really have to have a really killer turn. But I do draw a couple blues here and feel pretty good about that. Again, I don't know what to do about that. I run Oasis Respites and I run Sand Covers. And there's just like no room to run too many blues, and the game just kind of, I feel like the game just kind of goes like that, right? Like I have to, God, I saw my Uvia so late too. All the rakes in Uvia so late. But anyway, I kind of have to just, it's like I have these all red hand turns where I just like take damage, don't do much, and they suck, right? And then I have turns where I have a blue or two and I'm able to make these like incremental, take these incremental exchanges. And oh, there we go. They did have a pretty good hand here. But they do not have a blue spell in Arsenal. They're playing that Aether Icebane from Arsenal. So this plus the Waning Moon is all they're going to be able to play. And I will fortunately be able to live through it. All right, getting some resources here because I'm not going to play Ubia. I don't have to. I can just kill them. Unless they have a popper, I guess. Which, you know, they very well could. I haven't counted their graveyard lately. You know, in a competitive match, I definitely would figure out how many poppers versus cards left in deck they have versus how close we are to our pitch stack, and did they pitch any poppers early, which I don't think they did, but anyway, pay through the discard tax, block 3, block 2 of the Waning Moon, go to 1. Pretty close here. Like I said, this is a pretty nice hand to have the last turn, but I think it all balances out because there's just like earlier turns where I just like took a bunch and couldn't do anything. And my little bit of salt from our opponent here to add some flavor to that. Jeez. That's pretty annoying. I don't really know like what improvements I can make to this matchup except more blues maybe. They just have a lot of oppressive spells that are like you know, Hypothermia, Channel Lake Frigid, these like really end your turn and they chip you down while playing them. So I think that what I can do better is just block the physical, right? Block more physical damage. And I think calculate better, you know, calculate better what kind of turn I'm going to have and maybe even mitigate more of the arcane damage on times where I'm just not going to have a turn, right? So like turns where I just, you know, I'm going to swing for 2. Maybe not choose to pay through it or pay through their taxes and go for that. Maybe just, you know, block some more arcane and just like call that a turn. You know, maybe only leak 1 damage and don't put any pressure on, which kind of sucks. But I think I was a little bit cavalier because this used to be a good matchup, like I said, and you know, could have played a bit tighter in the early game there to manufacture a bit better of a game state. And yeah, my opponent did call me lucky, which, like, you know, fate was on my side on that last turn, but it's just like, again, there are so many turns where it's like, oh, they played a channel, or they played back-to-back channels and kept it out for 2 turns when I had no blues in hand, you know. I mean, I call them lucky in that turn, you know. It's a compilation of all of the turns, you know. Do yourself a favor and don't just call your opponent lucky when you lose on when you're playing a game. But anyway, very good game. Like I said, my audio did not work the first time, but I wanted to, I did want to publish this one because it showcases the new Iyslander deck, and it's very powerful, and you definitely have to know how to play into it, which I discovered in this match. So, thanks everyone. See you next time.